Welcome. Everything is just like it was yesterday, except a few teams got different football players, Tom. A few teams got new football players.
Well, let me tell you, those football players getting different jerseys now. Oh, boy, ladies and gentlemen.
Some teams are going to be so good.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, we're going to have football players playing on different teams in different states.
Different systems, fixing all of their problems. I love the NFL trade deadline on Tuesday, November 5th.
Baby, we here.
We break things.
I did not think that pen was going to knock over that side. That was greatly misjudged. It's all right. It's wood. You in the right direction. Welcome to another episode of Podcast. Oh, that's not Podcast. GPS. Jesus.
Whoa.
We're taking over. That's right. This is Pack up. Now the pen finally fell down.
There you go.
Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. And this is GPS.
Dude, you got Anthony Richardson arm strength.
Apparently. Yeah, sorry, Moose. I did not think that pen was going to knock over that side. I got the balls didn't fall. That's all right.
Yeah, well, just that wooden sign.
It's the wooden sign. Hey, listen.
This is that thing.
This thing is. Yeah. Look at that. Still good. Still good.
There you go. Oh, that's smaller than I thought it was.
Yeah. So this actually.
That's what she said.
So yeah, they do. Back in the day. When Packcast first started, I want to say it was like a year after Packcast, this kid reached out to me, and I think he was like 13 or 14 at the time. The name was Seth. He's like, hey, like I'm a woodworker, and I watch your show. Can I make this sign for you? And so that's been there for about 8 years now. So
whoa,
that's it.
13-year-old woodworker?
Dude, it was like insane. Yeah, so it literally
at
still
13,
says
that kid was more of a man than I currently am.
Handcrafted by Seth. So shout out Seth. It's
that
been there literally for
stuff right there.
Almost a decade. So
very cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned something new today.
A little extra lore. Because why not? Why not? It's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, well, you know, we're trying. We're trying to find ways to increase the efficiency.
I swear to God.
Brandon Perna is wiping. Are you saying you don't spend enough time wiping?
No, I overwipe.
You overwipe.
Yeah.
You go until there's red. It's like I'm making sure.
Don't stop
doing that again.
Bleeds. That's when you know it's clean.
Yep. Oh,
I use the three seashells. So that's what the way I do
use seashells.
The 3 seashells. Yeah.
What?
Oh, look! Finally, I could talk about something that you don't know about.
Oh, there's plenty of things I don't know about.
Pokemon, shut up. If you don't know the 3 seashells, you ain't a Demolition Man fan.
So explain.
It's a great movie with Wesley Snipes and Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
Yes.
Yep.
And of course, the star, Sylvester Stallone. Takes place in the future.
Okay.
Sandra Bullock.
I'm getting a lot of context right now. I just want to understand what
takes place in the future, and instead of using toilet paper, they use 3 seashells to wipe their butts.
Why? I feel like there's so many. There's leaves.
I don't know.
Is there not greenery? Is it not vegetation?
Yeah. I'm gonna rewatch it.
No toilet paper in the future.
Dude, there's a scene where I think it's Wesley Snipes takes a guy's eye out and uses
on Blade.
Uses it for an eye scanner to get into like a room.
Nice.
And as a kid, I was like, oh, this is so cool.
You're like, I can't wait to do that in the future if there's eye scanners.
It's like, this movie is awesome.
That's it. Hey, listen, Marshon Lattimore. Yeah, there's a bunch of trades that happened yesterday. I would say, because I went live for a little bit. I know, Perna, you put out a video about it too. I would say like this is probably the most significant trade that happened yesterday is Marshon Lattimore, just in terms of the quality of the player that they're getting. And like, I think it's a pretty fair trade for both sides. The Commanders gave up a good amount of picks and are taking on his contract, which is significant, but he's 28. They have the cap space for it. And talking about this defense, and everybody kind of going into the season was like, oh, I don't think the Commanders defense is going to be very good. And I think they've overplayed like a lot of expectations, or superseded expectations. I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, Marshon Lattimore back there and having a premium player back there, I think is going to make a big difference. And that's a future too.
It's a really nice pickup for Washington. Marshon was kind of wasting away in New Orleans on a team that looks like they are blowing everything up. They have to rebuild. They have to reset. They have to do all of the things a bad football team does to try and rectify where they're going to go. So sending away arguably their best defensive player right now to a team in Washington that it's Washington portion of the season has to be like one of the biggest surprises of the year. And I think a lot of people thought Jaden Daniels would be good as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
This good? No, I don't think anybody thought he was going to be this good. And it's because he's doing so many things well. They have just 3 turnovers on the season, which is like the fewest since 1933 or something. Yeah, I know. Okay. I know. I made a mistake. Incarnate word but is it though? Is it? Yep, penalty. God.
How dare you?
But the joke
joke
was good enough for me to make the mistake. But Washington, they're playing so well.
I just love a football, wipe till red.
Wipe till red. Oh, nice. I didn't think like they would be making, they're making hey, we're going to go deep into the playoffs type push and bringing in, Marshon Lattimore. So like the fact that they're doing this right before the trade deadline, I think like they've just hit on so many things. Their culture might actually be damn good now.
Appreciate you, Kenneth.
From Dan Quinn to their GM, Adam, is it Adam Peters? What the fuck's his name? The Josh Harris group, like they've done everything right. And we'll see how much of an impact like getting a guy who can, shut down one side of the field does for a team that's already playing really well. And now it's like the Commanders and the Eagles, like who's going to come out on top of that division? I don't really know yet, but they're both fun football teams to watch right now.
And those games, just like in recent years too, between the Eagles and the Commanders have been like really tight contested contests. So like, I think it's going to be really fun to see who's going to win the East, because it's sure as hell not the Cowboys right now. And it ain't the Giants either. So
is that true?
Yeah. I've actually never seen it. So we were doing, like, I know all about it, obviously. It's just, I just haven't sat down and had the chance. But it was funny because like I have Don Rogers in the scripted videos, and I do this voice, I do this, and people are like, "Oh, like it's the Marlon Brando." The first time I was encountered with that voice was Robin Hood Men in Tights, like when they're making fun of Marlon Brando, and he's like, "D-E-D dead." He's got like the lizard. So there you go.
Hey, Blinken.
Hey, just say hey, Blinken. No, I said hey, Blinken. Hey. Terrible movie.
You don't pay no toll. We don't eat no roll.
That's it. No tolls, no rolls. That's it.
I didn't say it was good. I said it was awesome, but it is. I need to rewatch it to see how bad it is. As a kid, as like a 12-year-old kid, I was like, this movie's perfect.
Amazing.
Maybe I was 11 when I watched that.
Yeah. No, Lattimore is, but I think that's the biggest shift, because the Commanders are not just getting, a good player for this year. They're going to have him for a while, and I think that's just going to make that secondary significantly better, and they can build around it. And to have those staples on both the offense and the defense that you have, like you have your running back, I think, in Brian Robinson, right, when he's healthy, but you have Jaden Daniels, the franchise quarterback you're going to build around. You have your franchise wide receiver in Scary Terry, And now you have somebody like on that defense when they've just traded a bunch of folks away, in the last few seasons. This is a big one. And like this goes to the rebuild and they have the cap space. It's getting fun to be a Commanders fan, and I'm so happy for them because they get to experience that after a while of not so greatness. Okay,
yeah,
right.
it's like their one issue right now is their run defense. They're giving up 143 rushing yards per game, which is the fourth most in the league right now. Now you don't think like a corner signing is really going to help your run defense, but if you've got a corner out there that can man up, lock down, a wide receiver one, then maybe you can shift some of your personnel around to have a better chance of stopping the run more consistently. So like we'll see. And they haven't had like Brian Robinson. It's been hurt on and off.
Yes,
so
correct.
Obviously opposite side of the ball, but when he gets healthy, like that should be good.
Oh yeah, their offense is much different when he is in the game.
Yeah. And I can confirm Drew Lynch is awake and he should be joining us today.
He's wide awake.
Wide awake.
Some other trades. So the Packers actually made a move. So they traded pass rusher Preston Smith. We need pass rushers, but they traded Preston Smith to the Steelers. Mike Williams also going to the Steelers. I think Preston Smith is going to do pretty damn well with TJ Watt in that scheme. He's going to a good football team. And for the Packers, he's got a little bit older, but it was more that he was going to be really expensive in the next 2 years. So he was going to be about over $13 million cap hit next year, over $14 million the year after. So they're going to see if Lucas Van Ness can kind of take that next step. They drafted him 13th overall, kind of just waiting.
Van Ness monster.
And hoping. So
so like Preston Smith, you'd kind of been alluding to the fact that he was underperforming all season.
Rashawn Gary too. Yeah, the whole pass.
Oh yeah, it's like the whole Packers like edge rush situation.
Yeah.
So like and I think you insert like any edge rusher in Pittsburgh, like with who they have with Watt, with Alex Highsmith, Herbig should be getting healthy. Like that's a good situation to be in. That's a strong rotation, and somebody's gonna feast there. And the Steelers doubled down. Who else did they sign?
They got Mike Williams.
Yes.
Oh.
Mike Williams, better fit for Russell Wilson than Aaron Rodgers?
Hey, I mean, it's good moves, I think, for the Steelers. Like, I like this. It makes their defense a little bit better. Even if you're just throwing Preston, like, just him being on that line, I think is going to help, like you're alluded to. But it's just another weapon, right? And that could open the door for George Pickens or, even you maybe gives Mike Williams some opportunities. We'll see how he's going to do. Yeah, this one I don't.
This is if he can get healthy, it might be good.
But it's low risk. It's very low risk move. But I wouldn't expect a ton coming out of that.
That was a move where the Rams were probably going to release Trey White. So by giving up like a seventh, and it was like a 7th round swap too. You just ensure you get somebody that you hope can help you. But who knows? Dear God, who knows?
That's it. No, I mean,
it was like the Commanders landed Lattimore, but if you wanted to see a team feel like they were going all in to try and win the Super Bowl, it should have been like the Ravens going after Marshon. The Commanders gave up it's a total of 3 draft picks. One's a conditional, I think. But they had extra capital from the Jahan Dotson trade.
Yeah, they have a bunch of they had extra capital and they have the cap space to hit because his contract is not fun, these next couple of years, but they can pay it. And I think he's worth it. You know what I mean? Like, I think you make a great point about the Ravens because them bringing in Trey White, he has not done well at all. Like
he tore his Achilles last year.
Yeah,
so
and again, like I know Buffalo loved him, but there's a reason why Buffalo also let him go. He was really, really good for a while. But yeah, I think LVN is going to get more opportunities now just because Preston's not there. So hopefully you're going to have to expect more from him.
Oh, Lucas Van Ness, that's LVN.
Yeah, sorry.
Gotcha.
Sorry, what a fitting. For the kitty. Yeah, and so the other move that was kind of anticipated was Za'Darius Smith going over to the Lions. Which it's not like a Trey White one, but I think they got a good solid player, and it's someone who watched Za'Darius Smith, who had him on the Packers, saw him with the Vikings, saw him with the Browns. The way that I've always said is like during the beginning of the season, he's better. He's like, oh, he's so good. And then as the season goes on, kind of becomes less and less effective. It'll be interesting to see how he is playing on the Lions, on that squad, different culture, different everything. But yeah, this one is exactly better than what they got.
Yeah.
And, if it's probably just for the season to see and try to like fill the gap. And even if he just gets, a couple of pressures or a sack, they're going to get their investment worth. So,
yeah, I think like everybody was hoping the Lions would have made like a big, crazy trade, right? After Garrett and Max Crosby's names were thrown around. It's just
never going to happen.
It's not realistic. And I hope it works out for Detroit. I hope it helps them. It'll be interesting because Chase Young was another name that was getting thrown around, and he's actually having a decent season for the Saints. But he was with the 49ers last year. It didn't really make that big of a difference for them when they needed it the most. But the Lions they're such a good football team that I feel like even though this is kind of an underwhelming move, it feels like we might see Za'Darius Smith just play some of his best football because of who the Lions are, because of their locker room, because of their coaching, because of how good the team is on both sides of the ball. Like, maybe that's just exactly what Detroit needed. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
I've really enjoyed making love to your ears. I think that you have beautiful ears. They fit very nicely. So I would say it'd be an erotic.
What could have been?
Be erotic.
Appreciate you, Terry. I appreciate you. But yeah. Hey, there you go. Demolition Man still holds up.
Yes. Look at that shirt too. Nice.
Crushing it.
Oh boy.
But yeah, ultimately, I think, the Lions, they got a solid football player. The Steelers, I like what they did, getting some of those pieces. And then, I think the Commanders just have the largest move of the day. And that's kind of sets them up for the near future as well. So that's exciting for the Commanders.
What'd you think about the Bengals making a move? Bringing in Khalil Herbert.
Yeah.
Something they never do.
Hold on. Was it? Hold on, I got to look at this real quick. Hold on.
The third in-season trade ever they've made, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often because they're finding their running game with Chase Brown.
Yeah.
Hold on. It was. So I'm going to look way too much into this. But when Khalil Herbert got traded from the Bears to the Bengals, maybe a few minutes after the news became official, he tweeted out, "Thank you, God."
Oh my God. That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. It's
Find it.
No, I got it. It's pretty. Oh my God. Again, he's probably just expressing gratitude and stuff, but
that's funny.
Is pretty good.
I'm
going to run with that.
Did you just like that in real time?
Yeah, 100%.
Dude, I mean, the Bears are kind of down bad right now.
Oh God. Flag.
Everybody is assuming Eberflus just needs to be fired. Caleb Williams has played like shit for 2 straight weeks. I'm working on power rankings, and I just saw a thing about Bryce Young is outperforming Caleb Williams over the last 2 games.
I'm so happy Bryce Young got a win.
I am too. So and there's gonna be a lot of this with your rookie quarterbacks, unless they're Jaden Daniels. But the Bears not utilizing Khalil Herbert with the rookie quarterback.
They have Swift,
They have Swift, but get them both involved.
He's a different running back.
They're different style. Khalil's a little more punishing. So I like him going to the Bengals. who need the help. With Zach Moss has a neck injury. Chase Brown just had a really good game, so we'll see what he can do for that offense. And the Bengals are they're kind of like sneaking back into the conversation. Their losses, a couple of them were really close. They were still competitive, but
Joe
we're like,
Burrow's
God, the
playing
defense
really well.
is just like letting whoever they play score a fuck ton of points. And that's the official metric on Next Gen Stats, ton of points. So don't get mad at me.
Thursday's a huge game for them against the Ravens. Like they've
got a rough stretch, the Bengals.
Yeah.
Next three games.
It's not gonna be easy. Oh yeah, that was the other one. So shout out to the Panthers, because Jonathan Mingo, like I remember him very well, because one, wasn't drafted that long ago. Yeah. But I was like, oh, maybe he could just be like a possession guy for the Packers, like when they kind of needed wide receivers. And then he went to the Panthers. I was like, okay, that's pretty good to pair him up with Bryce Young. And since he's been there, it has not gone well. He's caught 12 passes this season. And I know that they drafted him with a second round pick, just like literally the other year. But yeah, to get a fourth from Jerry Jones and the Cowboys for a guy who's caught, and they need wide receivers, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's, I don't think that's going to save the franchise right now or save the season. So good luck.
I feel like
good luck.
I mean, it's hilarious that the Cowboys they're literally the only team who made a move at the trade deadline that is a bad football team. All the other teams buying are competing right now. Cowboys, you're out of it. Jerry Jones just doesn't know you're out of it. You know, Dak's down for a month at least. And I feel like the Panthers had Jerry Jones on the phone and only Jerry Jones. And they're like, Jerry, you got to give us a fourth. We have got the Birmingham Stallions ready to make a move for Mingo right now. And Jerry's like, I can't let the Stallions get in there and get it. They're like, oh fuck, we accidentally said Birmingham. Doesn't matter. Jerry Jones can't negotiate right now. He has no idea how to trade receivers. Like, it
just didn't see, like, it's
rough.
And again, it is only amplified by Jerry Jones saying we're going all in. If he doesn't make that comment, we're still making fun of the Cowboys. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there is a lesser, and I think that you have seen significantly this year, and if you're a Cowboys fan, you've been saying this for a while, but it really is calling into question like Jerry Jones as a GM. And what I mean by that, it was tolerable before. It was like, okay, like, sure, whatever. It's not the best situation, but it's tolerable. It's not anymore. And it is similar. Obviously, you know, it's an owner and not a head coach. But like the Bill Belichick aspect, you could acknowledge like, hey, like good coach over here, but not a good GM. And Jerry Jones, in some aspects, I think is a pretty good owner, especially when it comes to the fandom. But when it comes to the team and stuff like that, I think you just have to give the reins to somebody who can handle that. And I think Jerry just doesn't think anyone can.
No.
And that's unfortunately like where you're at as a Cowboys fan. You're making these moves where it's not going to move the needle significantly. And when you're looking for like a Hail Mary and your quarterback is hurt, like, yeah, it's just, it's not good right now, you know, for the Cowboys.
And
it's bad.
I think like it gets a little tricky too, because you're not trying to like crap on Mingo, right? And he's going to catch a lot of the heat for how the Cowboys are going to be memed right now. And I think if Dak was healthy, like everything's the same. Cowboys are bad, but Dak's healthy. You're like, okay, well, maybe there's a chance Mingo can go and get some production on the field because Dallas is going to throw the ball. But like he's going in with Cooper Rush, maybe Trey Lance getting a few plays here. Like, I don't think this is going to help Mingo at all, at least for the next 4 games or until Dak's healthy. So it's kind of a shitty situation for him as well. But yeah, the Cowboys they're out of their minds in how they're trying to build on a team that was, you know, in the playoffs every year.
Yeah. Yeah. And like and again, after the offseason you had where there wasn't a ton of acquisitions and it was kind of promised that there would be differences after that playoff game, because the Cowboys, again, they got everything they wanted last season. They had a great, you know, record during the regular season. They got the 2 seed at the end. So they had all those. They were supposed to get all these home playoff games. And bro, like the Packers came in and slapped the crap out of them as a 7 seed. And then you lose your defensive coordinator. There's a ton of injuries. Again, it's just there are significant pieces wrong with the Cowboys. And Jonathan Mingo or like a wide receiver, another wide receiver could help that situation. But now that you're going to have to wait for Dak to come back, it's just you're not adding a ton to the mix. That's going to give anybody a ton of confidence. And I feel like the way that we're talking about the Cowboys is worse than how we're talking about some teams that have a worse record than them.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to get that heat because they're the Cowboys, obviously. But I think it's because they get so much media coverage and because they're constantly put on primetime and they're constantly put in these spots that because they're so there, their downfall or where they don't meet expectations is also going to be heavily criticized because there's so many eyes on them.
Yeah, and they're underperforming too. 3-5. But yeah, they're always going to have extra attention because they're so popular, all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to bring up this passing chart here.
We'll talk about this side.
Yeah. Can you just move that super chat real quick?
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. There's a lot of charts out there. There's too many charts out there. That's my current opinion. This one's about how much time to throw quarterbacks have, right? You see Brock Purdy up there and how far they're throwing. Their average depth of their pass.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Tua's down there. He doesn't have any time to throw, and he's throwing it short right now. Like, that stands out. But what I found hilarious about this chart, Jameis Winston, not a lot of time to throw, still throwing up prayers every chance he gets.
Yep.
Like, that is Jameis Winston is a hilarious quarterback chart if I've ever seen. I literally, when I was looking at this, I saw his name up there. I was like, it made me laugh out loud. And so I found it funny. Maybe some other football nerds will find it funny. Bo Nix, also very well protected behind that Broncos offensive line. So, you're looking here, Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, those guys are thriving. It's just one chart, but it is a Jameis Winston chart in my heart.
Sure. Really, yeah, I do. So that's a good point. We talk about that defense. Yeah, the lack of pass rusher. I mean, they were talking to folks. Ojulari, I thought the Packers might be making a move for him, but he winds up staying with the Giants. That's my concern with the Ravens. Is it when it comes down to the postseason, which is where I think they're going to get, and we still have another half of the season to go. That's where I go, okay, that can be taken advantage of. It's going to be, can your offense overcompensate for that? Can they put up enough points against the Chiefs? I'm going to use them as an example, right? Because they're the bar at the moment in the AFC.
Right.
Can they get over that hump? I think they can, but their offense had, like Perna and I were talking about this on Monday. Like, they just have to play like they played on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
their pressure rate right now, 30.1% on quarterbacks. That's 7th worst. The Lions are right behind them at 8. So, it's, there's sacks, there's pressures, and then there's, not every pressure is the same. How disruptive is your pressure? So there's a lot to, like, if you're trying to, like, really break down where the Ravens are at. But yeah, their defense is giving up too many big plays, too many points. They did a great job against Denver. But they also had, Broncos had some squandered opportunities as well. And one way the Ravens can kind of counterbalance that is just by ball possession, right? And they've got the team to do it. You can run the ball.
Yes.
You can eat clock with Derrick Henry, with Lamar, and then take your shots when they open up, which they will if you're running the ball effectively. So it's not like the end of the world. And the Ravens can score a fuck ton of points. So again, that's a next-gen stat metric for the Ravens. I don't want anybody getting upset with me. I'm just reading the numbers.
Yeah, I understand. I talk about Don Rodgers. No, I think that's a good point.
But
yeah, the Raven again. I think they're the team right now. That could do it. I don't know, man. Like we talked about that Monday night game. I mean, the Buccaneers did a great job. Like they, considering all the things, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. No, Baker's playing well. And I said we got to stop looking at the Chiefs like they're unbeatable. Yeah. Even though they beat the Buccaneers, they took them. They took them in overtime.
They got close. And close matters.
We're going to shift gears here. He's really here, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Drew Lynch, comedian, Colts fan. Basically, the reason the new worst episode started. He is awake. We're going to bring him in to talk about Joe FLacco, Anthony Richardson, the Indianapolis Colts. Drew. Oh, look at that. And you got a Manscaped shirt on, too.
I do. Brought to you by courtesy of Brandon Perna. How are you guys?
How you doing,
Drew?
Hey, Tom. Sorry, I didn't get the chance to apologize to you, but I slept last week.
How dare you sleep?
I know.
How dare you?
I know. It's been the first time in a while, and so I can't believe I did it myself.
I can't believe it. It's
outrageous. Drew called me after, and he said he was drunk. So this sleeping is
that is so not true.
It's just another bender,
Sorry,
Drew.
bro.
All right, well, this is actually your intervention. Well, welcome.
All right. Well, yeah. As if things weren't bad enough, let's get into the Waka Flocka season.
What are your thoughts on benching Richardson and rolling with Flacco? And then the Colts losing with Flacco.
I think it's the worst. I think it's all the worst, and everything is bad, and it's terrible. So I hope that helps for whatever this stream is.
Yeah, that's.
Honestly,
can we move on? No.
I'm assuming that's what Colts fans are kind of feeling, right? You had all this excitement with the rookie, and then struggling this year, but you're like, you know what? We should probably kind of just take our punches right now and see what can happen.
Yeah, you got to take the lumps. Like you have to go with, like, I understand that there was a world where a series of events happened at the mistake of Anthony Richardson, coupled with his completion percentage. Like there were a lot of things that happened in that game versus the Texans that I think it definitely did. It contributed to the benching. And at the same time, as a head coach, you have to walk the fine line of being like, all right, like I went all in on this guy. Our GM went all in on this guy. Our franchise went all in on this guy. He got hurt last year, and ostensibly what was supposed to be his this is kind of supposed to be his rookie year, even though last year was his rookie year. And there were some flashes and some moments where it was like, okay, wow, like it really looks like it's coming together, and almost like sequentially, almost like where it's like consecutively each game is kind of a little bit better than the last. And like that comeback against the Rams last season to kind of tie them up and take them to OT. I mean, like there were just these huge upside flashes that I think we saw more of last season than we're seeing this season. And it's almost like, I mean, we can say it's because of like arm, like the rehabbing of the shoulder. We can say that it's because of maybe certain physical limitations that were brought on because of like last year. But I honestly think it's a lot to do with the other stuff, like the certain decision making, like in the game, and then like in play decision making, and then taking yourself out of the game type of decision making. Sure. Yes, he got a lot of heat for that. I mean, I think had he took himself out and then said it was an injury, he could have gotten heat for that because of his injury history. And he knows how the whole franchise already kind of is building this narrative that he's injury prone and is kind of breathing down his neck in that way. But he simply he went into a presser. He said the quiet thing out loud. He said the thing you're not really supposed to say, coupled with it being a divisional, like a division, not just opponent, but probably rival at this point. You've got CJ Stroud drafted in the same class, who by all other metric is outperforming you. You have I don't even think like him taking himself out was the most damning thing he did during that game. I think him not getting out of bounds at the end of the fourth quarter, when he ran, like he had the decision to kind of get out of bounds and stop the clock, and we didn't have any more timeouts, which I think was the difference between, I think maybe 20 more seconds. I think maybe 20 more seconds when you need however many more yards to be able to get into a closer range. So I just think like I'm trying to talk underneath all this this whole umbrella. Like I've waited for this cast. Like it's like I was more upset that I didn't get to say shit last week. I was more upset than you guys were. I want you to know that I needed this badly. And I'm gonna go and tell this. I'm gonna go and well past when this stream is over. I'm gonna be here in front of my laptop talking. So when the screen goes dark and my laptop dies and my family calls for where I am, I'm still gonna be talking about Joe FLacco and
Your
Anthony
computer
Richardson.
will be like, Drew, please stop. I'm not listening to you.
Yeah. I might get an update for my software before I'm done with this. So it's just like FLacco. I love how steady he is. I love how experienced he is. I don't love that he kind of puts our offense back into this one-dimensional mold that I feel like the Colts have seen. Brandon and I seen it in person. Tom, you probably saw it. You probably saw it like, I don't know, even the game where, like, I think even the game with Phillip Rivers versus Aaron Rodgers out there in Green Bay, like back in 2020, I think was also like still kind of limited. You still like Phillip Rivers was excellent. Like he was good with like, over the middle and short, quick passes. But at the end of the day, like you just kind of see that people stack the box against the Colts when you go up against an old quarterback and who might have some arm strength limitations. They kind of stack the box and they force you to throw on them, which you can do, but I mean, to run on them is so much more difficult. And it's like, I think someone said that with Anthony, you get some inconsistent pass plays that really open up the explosiveness of the run game. But with Joe FLacco at quarterback, you get almost a non-existent run game with still a limited pass game. So it's like you're taking a more accurate quarterback over someone who's basically like maybe has a little bit more erratic play. And
I think I can simplify that for you. You guys wanted Cleveland Browns Joe FLacco. You got Denver Broncos Joe FLacco. You got Broncos Joe FLacco. That's where the Colts fucked up.
All roads lead back to Broncos fucking us.
Also, you mentioned Phillip Rivers, Drew, and I don't know if you've ever seen this from Phillip Rivers.
When I say natural family planning, many people probably wonder what in the world is that, and it was a fancy word for no contraception. You do it all off your wife's cycle and what days she's most fertile, what days she's not fertile, so therefore you can together either really try to have a child or really not.
That cannot be real.
That's so real.
It is very real.
That has to be AI or SNL. There's no way.
Nope. That's why we love Phillip Rivers.
I think, was that his audition tape to get on the Colts? What was that?
Yeah, 100%.
He didn't even pass a physical. He was just interviewing and just going, based off my wife's cycle. It means no contraception. He's like, I was wondering what you would do against this nickel defense here. And he's like, well...
Yeah, they're giving him a physical, and he's like, "You want physical? Look how many kids I have.
Yeah, look, I know how to get.
How many times I pumped it in that woman? Look at that. Look at it. That's Charlie. That's Jimmy. That's Nathan. You're just like, what? This is not a physical."
Well, I feel like, Drew, it's only made worse because last week after the decision to say, hey, Anthony Richardson's going to be sitting for a bit, we're going to go with Joe FLacco, it seemed that reason was made because the idea was we can win with this team now. And the conversation that Perna and I had was, I don't think they're a Super Bowl team, but they're contending for the division, while the Jaguars and Titans are struggling and the Texans, maybe they look a little bit more beatable than anticipated. But then you see what happens on Sunday night and just how anemic that offense is.
Yeah.
And there's a litany of reasons why. And you're like, okay, maybe it's also time to admit that I don't think that we can go to the Super Bowl this year, meaning the Colts. Then it's a matter of what do we have out of Richardson? And the issue is, the easy answer is, well, you just throw him back out on the field and see what you got, right? That's how you're going to evaluate him. It's just trial by fire. But then there's the other element of, is he just not being developed, or is he not that guy? And that's a very difficult question to discern. But my answer would be, is the lack of fundamentals in the footwork and the decision making, what have you, can that improve without being on the field? Because Richardson can develop. Like Jordan Love did it, right? You saw in preseason, you saw Patrick Mahomes did the 1 year he didn't play. You can develop, but then you look at the organization going, are you doing enough? And how much is it the organization? How much is it Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, I think that's I think that's well put. And I think that's pretty okay, here we go.
Gotcha.
All right, from the top. So I think Anthony, I just start the whole thing over from my whole diatribe. I think the sentiment that's the echoed sentiment in Indianapolis, and we've kind of like, Jordan Love has been referenced many times when talking about Anthony Richardson, as far as not as far as a comp, but just as far as the development comp, is just far as like being like, listen, this is like CJ Stroud, Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, like these guys are almost like outliers, and also they've had way more college starts under their belts than Anthony Richardson did. So yes, he's a project, but it's like, Jordan Love is like, well, I remember when he kind of became the starter, people were like, big shoes, like, here we go, like, what's this gonna be? And then like he exploded onto the scene because he is like, Green Bay knows how to develop, and it, like, that model has been the same model that they've used for forever. Right. And like it definitely is possible to do that. I agree that the dilemma is like, how do you get those those game time pressure like situations where your footwork does need to kind of set, and your decision making is like you need to do the sensible thing. You need to almost like do the sensible thing. And I think like in seeing a lot of footage, like a lot of the film that comes, like when you rewatch the tape of these games, you are kind of seeing him pushing the ball downfield rather than kind of just making some of the layups. And I remember when Carson Wentz was ran out of town, it was because he was unwilling. I mean, the narrative at least was that he was unwilling to make a lot of the layups. And I think the reason that the Colts have kind of doubly screwed themselves, at least in this situation, is there has to be consequences for a guy taking himself out of the game. There has to be consequences for that same guy who is consistently not producing, at least for his receivers, or I mean, at least the receivers at least get better production when Flacco is in versus Richardson. His completion percentage reflects that. I think a lot of the drops sort of reflect that, but there has to be some consequences so you can send a message to the other 52 in the locker room that says, listen, you guys are busting your asses. We still want you to be able to you could potentially lose an entire locker room if you don't make a decision like the one that they made in order to bench Anthony Richardson. But now you've doubly screwed yourself, because by going into Minnesota and losing in such Colts fashion, nothing's even interesting in the game. You're just like, I just want something like, just show me a naked fan. Show me something else. Give me like what are the popcorn options at Minnesota? Like I don't care. You know what I mean? Like it's just not like it. Yes, there are some defensive takeaways, but when it shows you what we are not able to do on offense, it's just like you said, Tom. It's anemic. It's just like it's the worst type of football in how not complimentary it ever is.
Mm-hmm. And you talked about it being boring. The Colts, I mean, Flacco, you mentioned Wentz, Matt Ryan in there, Phillip Rivers, a lot of old quarterbacks. And now you got the young guy and you're going back to the old quarterback. But I want to talk about Colts Broncos primetime Thursday night football a couple of years ago, Drew.
Oh God.
Hang on, one sec, guys. 1 sec. Someone here at the bottom says, I saw Drew in Rochester last weekend. He threatened to beat Tua up if he becomes a comedian. Fins up. So that is true. That's a true thing that happened. That is a true thing. And I think, here's the thing. It was bizarre that guy who said fins up, he said fins up in Rochester. That's like Bill's Mafia town. And I literally said during the show, I was like, every sign that's illuminated is an exit, buddy. I would find it. That's insane that he said whatever. I'm talking about my concussion from my injury however many years ago. I talk about how I like that the NFL is, paying more attention to brain injuries. It looks like certain it sucks every time a quarterback goes down, and some quarterbacks lose their career because of a concussion. I got a career because of a concussion, whatever stupid lame thing that is. And then in the quiet of people processing that joke, a guy goes, fins up. And I was like, no, do you not know your division? Do you not know where you are? How you're so far from Florida. It was nuts. It was hilarious. The craziest thing I've ever seen. So the fact that he's here in this chat is
shout out. Like, that takes a certain amount of courage in Rochester. And talking about concussion, it's like, you know what? Fins up.
Fins up. Right, if there's any indication that that's
that's fantastic.
If there's any indication that that's a Dolphins fan, there he is. Is to just go into a rivalry town and just say that. It's
at a
hats off to that.
Fins up.
Real quick.
Fins up.
Sorry, before we get to, because I just have one other follow-up question for Drew in terms of Richardson. I think there is that acknowledgement, obviously, because you watch Richardson play in college and he didn't have a ton of reps. He didn't have a lot of games, etc. There was the understanding, you're talking about your franchise going all in for him. There was the understanding that you were going to have to develop him, right? Yeah. So I think it's also you're at a crossroad, because sure, you could say, all right, it's not going to work out with Anthony Richardson, but then it's just back to the QB carousel again, which has continued to go on and on and on. And I don't think that all the jobs are safe if Richardson doesn't work out, right? So I feel like it's also in this like weird catch-22 of, sure, we can sit him or we can play him and he doesn't play well, but at the end of the day, if he doesn't develop like that, the blowback is going to be back on the front office.
But if Bryce Young keeps playing well, because they sat him and they probably wanted to sit him longer, but just a little bit of a reset for him. Maybe that's kind of I know they've said Flacco's going to be the guy, but maybe sitting a little bit will actually be beneficial for Anthony Richardson. If we think Shane Steichen's a good offensive coach and he knows what he's doing, then maybe it's the right thing.
Yeah, and it's just there's two things. One, like there had to be a correction made as far as Anthony Richardson's. I don't like the word like not persona, but his approach. Like he was doing, like I like that he was as like part of the reason that he has some strength. One thing that is a strength of his can also be perceived as a weakness under a different lens. In that how like buoyant he is, he's playful. He likes to like pretend that he's injured and then he pops right back up and then he's doing, he like that's a thing that he did for the past few games. And I think except you would just be injured. Yeah. I like to pretend I'm okay, but I'm injured. Yeah. But he part of the thing that he has this childlike sort of approach. And I just think that it's not really reflecting the feeling that I think the rest of the franchise and the culture and maybe the coaching and like we kind of need you to take it a little more seriously and in a way that like when we're winning and you're not injured 1 in 3 games and we're not getting our asses handed to us by division opponents, then let's have fun. You know what I mean? Like just the awareness of like sometimes I need you to just be a little like reel it back to where you're serious. I need you to be serious. So at least you are assuming the same energy of the team and the like we want to be a winning culture, like, and we don't want the precedent to be that well, it's okay, it's okay, we had fun, you know what I mean? That's not what we want. We've not had fun. We've had very much not fun for a very long time. Yeah. And you were brought in so we could have fun, not so you could have fun, so we could have fun, and then you can have fun. That's kind of like how I'm not saying that this is the way I feel. I'm saying this is the way the rest of the fan base and franchise could be perceiving that. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that, like, I think it's bad any way you look at where we are headed, because let's say you better hope that we make the playoffs with Joe FLacco, because then maybe people's jobs are safe. Then maybe something can happen in the offseason where Anthony kind of really gets serious and we start to see more, or we reset it, or we don't know. But honestly, where it looks like it's headed is we play FLacco, we miss the playoffs. We don't know what Anthony Richardson really is. We still didn't play our best football, and we don't know if he's the guy next season. Like, going into the season next season, having probably missed the playoffs, and probably maybe not knowing who Anthony Richardson is, like, that is the biggest disservice that I think any move like this from the front office has really done, is in terms of a disservice to this situation.
I think Chris Ballard's patient, so I don't think he'll do anything crazy. You never know about Jim Irsay, but I would trust in that. Kinda. It just feels like maybe you guys are on the trajectory to have Matthew Stafford as your starting quarterback in 2026. Matthew Stafford's coming to Indy to end his career.
Sorry,
are we the Jets?
Yeah.
Are we the Jets where we end people's quarterback careers? I mean,
they're old quarterbacks go to the Colts to die.
Or if you're a veteran wide receiver, go to the Titans.
After you tried to kill Peyton Manning too early, thank you for that.
That's what we do. Yeah, we killed him too early. Manning, Luck, and then we're like a home for them to like peacefully pass on.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's just a gentle go to sleep. The Colts Broncos game.
Oh yeah. Because if anybody doesn't know, Drew took me to the Colts Broncos game. Russell Wilson versus Matt Ryan back in 2022, right? That was the 2022 season.
Yep.
Drew was still on a mission to try and go to every stadium at some point and watch a football game. So we met up there, and I just wanted to ask you, like, what you remember from that game, because, like, I was there, I was having fun. Then the game was so bad, and it was like nice to see you because we hadn't hung out for a while. And I was like, I should be enjoying this more because so many nice things have happened, but this game sucks so much. And then I was like, and then I got to recap this game. So just like on a whim, I was like, this is the worst fucking game I've ever seen. So I'm like, I'm just going to title it The Worst Game I've Ever Seen. And that helped my YouTube channel more than anything ever. Yeah. So like, what do you remember from that game while we watched through it together live in very good seats? Drew got us good seats too. So
it was great seats. We were set up. We were poised for a great time.
Yes.
With it, like, genuinely, if everything happened except those teams playing, it would have been a great night. If everything happened except football, it would have been so much fun.
Yes.
The seats were great. I think the atmosphere in Denver is awesome. Like, they have a culture. Like, I love that you guys put emphasis on like your secondary. You know what I mean? The whole crowd shouts incomplete when it's an incomplete, which they said a lot. I mean, everybody said it many times. No, because I said it
for our own team.
Yes, exactly. It was said. Yeah. You guys, you had no allegiance to who you said it to by the end of the game. It was just whoever was incomplete, they were getting that chant. And I love that. I love that, like, the pregame, the tailgating. Like, I think that we were having so much fun doing that. They got like cornhole. There's like a guy who's like in a van. He's like, I'll tattoo whatever on like a face of whoever on your ass. And you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. I'm 2 White Claws deep. I love that. And and then there's cornhole. And then there's people who like have backward hats and then they like dab you up, and then they're women. And you're like, oh my God, this is bizarre. Like, it's all types of crazy, cool things happening in Denver. It's awesome. And people are vaping, and then they're shotgun vaping, and people have their dogs, and they're like, they're on chains.
At the game.
I don't know. I maybe I've gone too far. But the point is, I like whatever. People are having sex. It's awesome. It's awesome. And like there's like neat gravel that like it's like neatly and tightly packed, tightly packed gravel. Like you could
tightly packed gravel.
Yeah, you could put a grill that has wheels on it and cook a link. I love that. Okay, there's so much about this that I love, and these are the things that I remember. I'm actually just vamping because I don't remember anything from the game. Honestly, I remember when it was over. I think I remember being in the car ride with Brandon afterwards because we drove him back to his car, and it was quiet. I remember I was like thinking like. Oh yeah, sorry. You drove. Yeah, what? Yeah, somebody. Just so long as I was in the back of the car, so long as I was leaving, that was fine.
So Brandon drove though.
I don't know.
Do you know if he parallel parked outside that stadium? I'm just asking.
I'm getting the sense that this is something that I don't know.
I was just asking.
But
how was the parking job? Like when you got back to his vehicle. I was just asking for a friend because I know outside the stadium it gets a little dicey.
Well, Brandon does that thing where he thinks his car is so nice, so he parks perpendicular to the space. It's insane. It's honestly 3 or 4 or 5 spaces. However many spaces a Tesla truck takes up, that's what Brandon did.
Gotcha. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Well, I think he just bought the new Cybertruck, so it makes sense. Yeah. Sorry.
So I just remember being I don't know if you remember this, Brandon, but we were in the car, you, me, and my wife, and it was so quiet. Like, I was like, this is the last time I'm going to see my friend Brandon, and I'll ever be able to call him as my friend. Like, I was like, this is the last one. And I sealed my fate in our friendship. It sucked. It was a very bad game.
Drew.
It was a very bad game. And I know we have just like a few minutes left, but I want to know, like, was it Russ or was it Denver? Was it Hackett? Like Russ looks great in Seattle, right? And fucking Pittsburgh right now at the Steelers. Come on, come back. So I'm just like, I don't understand what you think it is or what it is.
It was all of it. It was Hackett was probably the worst coach for Russell Wilson. It was Russ not playing well specifically in that game. But and then after that, Sean Payton, no patience for Russ. So everything went wrong. Everything that could go wrong for a team that signed a high-profile quarterback, paid him a lot of money. They made 0 correct decisions to succeed with that. So
yeah,
he's playing. But the thing that's really weird is he's playing 2 nice games with the Steelers, and he had a handful of those last year with the Broncos. The question for me more is like, will they sustain that level of play? Or will he just play poorly in the morning slots and nobody's going to notice it, and we'll just keep thinking he's that primetime version of really good Russ. So, and it's better, like, he's got a coach that wants him now, and Mike Tomlin. He's got a run game that's supporting what he does well. That was another thing. The Broncos couldn't run the ball for shit for 2 years with Russ. That really, I think, hindered him. So I'm rooting for him to play well with the Steelers, because he didn't get a true fair shake last year, but there's still some big flaws in his game because he just isn't as athletic as he was when he was young. But it was. Yeah, I thought we were going to be saved, and we were not.
I think the situation has worked out. It worked itself out, truthfully, because I think Bo Nix is incredible. I think Sean Payton is absolutely the right coach for him. It feels like that was just kind of the match that just kind of was born from this draft this year. It looks like they might make the freaking playoffs. It's insane.
Maybe we got to beat the Chiefs this week, but we'll see. Our playoff status
would be insane if you guys were the first ones to hand the Chiefs their loss. Is this the first time they've played the Broncos
this year? Yeah.
Yeah. Is it in Mile High?
No, it's in Arrowhead. Oof. But short week for the Chiefs. They just got beat up a little bit by the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it was a great game. That game, I enjoy watching the Buccaneers. I mean, they're decimated on offense, and that like with injuries, and they're still just great. I'm so happy for like despite there being so many things wrong with my franchise, I think that there are so many things going well for so many others, which I really really enjoy. I like that Baker Mayfield's like found a home. I like that Mike Tomlin just continues to be an insane coach, and like there's just really cool things that have happened around the league. But like to go back to the Broncos game, like I mean that was the worst game ever, and then it started this whole thing for you, which I think like just shows like you to have the like to just like not even resist what was happening, but lean into the fact that it was happening, and that leads to all the new news. Like I think that's just I think it's awesome. The fact that they had such a terrible season was the best thing that's ever happened to your channel.
Yeah,
other than Tom, of course. Tom's the other thing that's
I'm Tom
to your channel.
I've got to find the next gimmick because it's not working anymore, Drew. Slowly dying.
Yeah, well, if you can brave a concussion and develop a stutter, that's a good gimmick. Go with that one for a while.
I'm gonna try. Although, like if you're going to announce that your stutter was a hoax the whole time, I'd appreciate you doing it on my show instead of Andrew Santino's. Like,
oh, okay, yeah.
Let's save those big ones for me. For me,
it's between the two of you. I both love you so much, and the only difference is I hadn't taken Santino to a shitty Broncos game, so I / Colts game. The Colts were also shitty.
That clip it really made me laugh because one, let's say you did fake your stutter for the last 10 years, 12.
I don't 2012. So
2012.
However many 12 years.
So we
ago,
were working together in 2012, 2013. Drew was on some of the very first episodes of That's Good Sports. I was shooting like a documentary thing about stand-up comedy with Drew.
Yep.
And then later, when Jess and I bought this house, Drew asked me if I knew any editors, and I was like, I can edit for you. I need money. I have a mortgage now, and I'm not making any fucking money. So I edited a ton of Drew's stand-up comedy. And not once did I ever go, he's faking it. So, like, if you tricked me where I got to edit the behind-the-scenes shit and watch your it would be the greatest acting performance in human history. It would be so fucking impressive.
Yeah, and I go to speech therapy and all these other like I go to PT and speech therapy. So I'm in character going to these therapies as well. I'm just adding like layers to my character. I'm adding layers to my character. Even with the
camera freezing, it's all part of the performance. So good. Anyway, Drew, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope it gets better with the Colts, but true diehard Colts fan, and I appreciate it.
What's going on, Drew?
I really am. I appreciate you guys as well. Thanks for letting me come on and hopefully redeem myself from just sleeping in and blowing off your show last week. Just
drunk
on a freaking drinker, dude. Yeah.
Make sure you check out Drew's YouTube channel. Crushing it. Stand-up clips. What else are you posting on there?
My OnlyFans too.
That's where the money is at.
Of course.
Yeah.
Drew's feet. Check it out.
Yeah.
Big time.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Drew. Appreciate you,
man.
Sorry you're stuck with me now again, Brandon.
I'm,
Just end the show.
Okay.
What do you got coming out today, buddy?
Power rankings.
Nice.
It's really important. A lot of people are really concerned about power rankings today. So.
People were very upset with my power rankings because I put the Packers over the Vikings.
Oh, wow.
I do. I'm sorry. I think, beating the Colts didn't move for me. But it's all right. Listen, that's why it's all subjective. That's it. I 100% disagree with me. It's all good. It's fine.
That's why they're there.
That's why. I'll have predictions coming out today, likely a skit as well. Yeah, that's what I got. We're going to try.
All right.
We're going to try. Well, folks, we appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. This is GPS, and you have been navigated.
And you've reached your destination.